Just in terms of their approach to music from your experience, how would you compare Jason's approach to recording bass to Cliff's approach? What's similar and what's different?
Jason was much more of a musician, kind of like technical musician.
Hmm.
He knew his chords and his scales. And Cliff was more like a person who felt the song.
Hmm.
And he would suddenly play something new, change it up, because he felt that once he did it. So you never knew what you got from Cliff. You knew it would be special, but you never knew what it was.
Hmm. So Jason,
So he was more like the Beethoven of the band. The guy that did the freaky stuff.
so Cliff was more musical, but Jason was more technical. Is that fair to say? More or less?
Probably, yeah, something like that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What was the atmosphere like in Metallica when Cliff was in the band compared to when Jason was in the band?
All the time Cliff was in the band, it was like these four kids that had known each other for a long time, that kind of, it's us against the world, and they were all, they're basically fighting the Metallica fight. We need to make Metallica the best thing ever. It kind of changed a bit when Jason entered the band, which is also well documented, because Jason was a fan and they actually hated that about him. That's probably also part of the story about the missing bass on Injustice for All. They just probably tried to get a reaction from him, but he was still too new in the band to do anything. I mean, I'm guessing what they wanted him to do was to speak out and be his own personality, so, which is always more interesting than, fans can be annoying, right? Everybody who just says yes and you're great to everything you do, that's not very good. And I think eventually he got fed up with being, the new kid for such a long time. When Cliff was in the band, they were. You gotta understand, the 3 albums I did with Metallica was like on the rise. Every album just went one level higher all the time, and it's always easier when you can see it's getting better and better and better. Once you get to the top and have to stay there, that's when all the problems sets in, which everybody knows if they've seen their movie.
You got to see James, Lars, and Kirk over the course of 3 records, but only one with Jason. Being the new guy and filling in for Cliff Burton, was Jason nervous at all during the making of Injustice?
No, because, he hung out when we did some of the other stuff. A lot of the times it was just me and Lars in the studio, or me and James in the studio, and Lars and me and Kirk in the studio. But they all came and hung out to see how the progress was going. And so, no, I didn't sense any nervousness at all. I mean, I don't think he had anything to be nervous about. He's a great bass player, and as I said, I've heard the bass tracks, so I know they're great. So
yeah, I would love to hear them one day.
Oh yeah, me too. But the tapes are safely in HQ in San Francisco. So yeah, band has them. I think they're going to keep those under lock and key.
In terms of Cliff, I've heard him being compared to a mixture of the Misfits, Zeppelin, and Beethoven.
Actually, a pretty good comparison, because he had that good Zeppelin drive and Misfits, and then he had that classical approach. So yeah, that's a pretty good description. He was a crazy bass player, actually, and he did some pretty crazy stuff. So I normally tell people that some of the solos they think are guitar solos, that's Cliff on his bass, because he had all these pedals he fiddled about. But he was innovative in a way that no other bass players was at that time.
Between Ride the Lightning and Master of Puppets, did Cliff grow as a musician, or was he essentially the same player?
No, I thought he'd gotten a lot better. I mean, they went basically on tour for most of the time, and that really sharpens your chops as a musician. So they were all of them were way better when we did Master of Puppets. But I mean, so was I, because I knew what the band was all about.